Told you it got cooler in here.
It did get a lot, but the aura has lifted. Kenny Chesney's in the building.
Come on.
What's up, fellas?
Multi-platinum. Listen, if you're in New York, get yourself to the show, MetLife Stadium.
Yeah.
One of us is going to be there. No big deal. On Saturday. And then 3 straight shows next week in the Boston area at Foxborough. I usually close it out. Want to get to that. Do want to start, though, with where your story begins down in Tennessee.
Sure.
What does Tennessee football mean to you?
Well, it's all we grew up on. You know, I feel very fortunate to have lived in a community in an area of the country where, you know, football and sports and family and church and that kind of stuff was all we had. Mm-hmm. And we didn't have any pro allegiance to anybody because we didn't have pro sports. It was all Tennessee football.
Sure.
And it's still that way.
Knoxville, baby. Hey, it was just a couple years ago, man, that we saw them rushing Neyland Stadium after finally beating Bama in your crib. Starting the season, ranked 15. All right, we'll see what Coach Heupel has to do. What is your outlook? What is your take on the playoff field expanding to 12 teams?
Well, I think, first of all, I think they're going to be pretty good. I mean, their schedule's definitely in their favor, you know. So, but my take on it is I'm still going to watch it.
Of course.
I don't care how many teams are in it. You know, and I think it's exciting. I think that there was always an argument, okay, whoever was number 5 or 6, I was very frustrated and upset. Yeah. It's going to be the same way, whoever's 13 and 14. You know, so.
Which is why I had to preface the preseason rank of them being 15.
Yeah,
you know,
there you
they're
go.
only letting 12 in.
So they got some work to do.
A little bit of ground to make up. But that was, you know, the argument against expanding the playoff was, oh, no, it devalues the regular season. And I think you just have to go to one game there to realize how dang valuable the season is. You've played there. Right, growing up in the shadow of it and played there back in 03. What was that like for you?
Look, I used to sit, on this side, and I know where it is, section double K, with my father and my friend Jim Cogdell. And if you would have told me when I was a child sitting in that football stadium that I was going to play it one day, and then, you know, and to see what's happened to us after that, I would have told you were crazy, you know. But that you know, Tennessee football was a huge part of the way I grew up and my love of sports. Of course, I got that from my father. You know, my father was a coach, and I got the music from my mom. I got my love of sports from my dad.
You know why he loves sports? You can tell Kenny Chesney loves sports because he decided willingly to wake up at 7 o'clock in the morning.
We played last night in Maine.
You were in Maine last night?
We played last night in Bangor, Maine.
Oh, my Lord. And you're at MetLife tomorrow night.
That's dedication.
MetLife Stadium tomorrow night in New York, and then we end the tour next weekend with 3 days in Gillette.
Well, there are so many sports stadiums on this tour. I'm curious, your favorite non-Neyland stadium to play is what?
Well, the ones that aren't built to maximize suites. You know what I mean? Like, so the older stadiums are louder.
Okay, like you know Williams Bryce down in Columbia.
Like that place, or you know, Pittsburgh's really loud. Arrowhead is really loud. Seattle is really loud.
That's pretty cool.
The new ones, I love playing them, but you almost feel like they don't have a home field advantage because the sound's not the same.
You play in front of hundreds of thousands at these concerts, and it's a who's who of A-listers walking in. Obviously, sports royalty. You've already, you know, hosted Dabo. You've had Mike McCarthy. Obviously, the relationship with Robert Kraft. When they come to one of your shows, is it like, hey, they get to meet Kenny Chesney, or is it, hey, Kenny's spending some time with Dabo today, or whatever the case may be?
There's just such a mutual respect. You know, because honestly, I think it's kind of across the board. I've been doing this for several years now, and I've met a lot of athletes, coaches.
Awesome.
We do that every Friday night before our Saturday show. But it just, you know, every musician, if you ask them, would love to play professional sports. And almost every professional baseball player, or football player, or basketball player that I've met would give anything to do what we do. So when they're at a show, there's just a level of mutual respect, you know.
What I think of you and covering high school football, as we both did earlier in our careers, that Boys of Fall song is an anthem. I mean, it is an anthem. And I think of you in a football uniform. I know you played.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing to see me in a football uniform. But.
Well, I mean, we see it up here, but listen, like,
it's
you know,
a good fit.
You can go certain height, certain weight. It's you know, what's in here to get out after it. But I'm curious, like, how your legacy, as you're living it, like you see folks who watched you at shows in the mid-'90s, hand in the air. I saw you at FedEx Field, George Strait Country Music Festival 2000.
Wow,
right?
Long time ago.
And I'm going to go see you tomorrow. I mean, we're talking 24 years. I've had 3 kids in that span. I could bring one of my kids to your shows. Generationally, as you have been the guy up on stage watching this play out, what's that like for you?
It's insane. It really is. I mean, I love what I do. I know it's a gift. Yeah. To be creative in your life and to give the world something that didn't exist yesterday. And so that's one of the beauties of being a songwriter and being the person up on stage that gets to play those songs for people. It's the most amazing feeling in the world, and to do it like we've been doing it for a while is like I said, it's just a gift, and I'm very grateful for it. But I've got 4 guys that I went to high school with that are out on the road with me now, that I went to high school with, college.
That's awesome.
And we watched a lot of football growing up.
Yeah.
And to be able to play the places, like we're so excited when we played the Rose Bowl in 2015, we were so excited. And we just all of us went to the very last row, like you saw at Arrowhead with me. We do that every Friday night. So it was really interesting to play the Rose Bowl and sit up there with your dad and some of his buddies and my friends, because it meant so much. Because we went to the top of the stadium the Friday night before our Saturday show and just sat there.
For those who might not be familiar, what's the connective tissue? Obviously, Knoxville, that's home.
Yeah.
What's the connective tissue with Boston? Because it seems like some of your biggest and best shows are at Foxborough, 2-3 nights, right? Joe Milton, Tennessee quarterback. Now,
that's right.
Now he's on the roster. Boston, one of my favorite songs.
Right.
Come to Boston.
Please come to Boston.
Please come to Boston.
Yeah.
What's that tissue?
Well, it started, honestly, when I was a kid.
Yeah.
There was a guy that played at Tennessee that got drafted, a wide receiver named Stanley Morgan. I don't know if you guys remember the name or not, but I loved him. And that's where I first started paying attention to the Patriots, because he played for the Patriots. And when I was a kid, I always, I know you guys remember, because we didn't have SportsCenter then. We didn't have all the channels and the ways to consume sports. So we had what we had in East Tennessee. And there was a show every Saturday called This Week in Baseball with Joe Garagiola.
Yes.
And I loved that show. And they usually had the Red Sox on after that, because they were really good during that time. So the networks played, who was good. So that's where I became a Red Sox fan. And then later in life, with my time in the Virgin Islands, almost 9 out of 10 people that I met down there were from New England. And so it just became a thing over the years. And because I played sports, I'm very superstitious. So there was a year, like you were talking about Raymond James Stadium in Tampa, when I saw Gruden down there. Like the first year that I opened my tour in Tampa, we closed it that year in Foxborough. And it was one of the most amazing experiences. The whole tour was just awesome. And because I'm so superstitious, I said, we're doing that every year. We're opening in Tampa, we're closing in Foxborough, and that's the way we've done it ever since.
And that's the time of year, he mentions the time in the Virgin Islands. You get out of the New England weather.
Correct.
New England folks are smart enough to get the heck out of here and get down there. Will you stick around for us? I know you got a weekend show, MetLife Stadium, Sun Goes Down tour. Again, I don't think there are tickets, but there's no bad seat in the building.